Hey guys, what's up? Hitori FX here. Welcome to episode 39 of the weekly market outlook with Tariff Prop. Now, in this episode, I'll be covering gold, DXY, the S&P 500, and also Bitcoin. If you have any other asset classes or feedback you'd like to give, you can just leave a comment down below, or even better, join our free Discord, where you can find the link to it below. You can find me there, as well as talk to the Trades Prop team if you have any inquiries. Alright, so let's get straight into the outlook. One episode shy of episode 40, so let's get this show on the road, right? The markets, well, been a bit wild, right? We have tariff chaos, right? Last week, Trump announced global tariffs that were being imposed to a bunch of different countries throughout the world. Surprisingly, there's even a country where I can't recall the exact name right now, but I remember seeing it was just a country where penguins are its native residents and humans have not stepped onto the island or the country for the past decade, and for some reason they were still taxed on tariffs. So that's something that is pretty wild, well, you probably will be seeing this Monday morning, so grab your coffee and let's get straight into the outlook. Now, here we have the DXY, and right now as we speak, well, because of just, this big bearish pressure coming here on the monthly chart, and, Trump, we always knew coming into his era of presidency, Trump would always be a, wild card, right? He's always been somewhat of a, crazy, not crazy in a bad way or a good way, but just very unpredictable, right? And short term, right now, for the dollar, I think it could have a potential chance of strength. The tariffs, regardless of how you look at it, and regardless if Trump will, take it back or will stick with it, regardless what you think, it could, make it something similar to a safe haven, right? Despite this, big bearish dump, the tariffs are going to see short-term improvements in the U.S. economy, albeit we're not seeing it right now because we are seeing a lot of panic selling. Indices are dropping crazy. We had the worst day in 4 years. We had the worst day in indices just previously, which we'll get into when we get to the S&P 500. But right now, we are going to likely be seeing some pullbacks here on the dollar, right? We are seeing it drop heavily down into this monthly previous monthly high right here, and we're rejecting off of it at the moment. And we've printed these three very strong bearish candles all the way since February, right? We came up into this high, and now we are rejecting lower into it. So as of now, I'm definitely expecting the monthly to show some signs of potential pullbacks to kind of correct some of the areas of imbalances made in this big bearish move on the monthly. I know it's just like a 3 candle bearish candle, but still, we ended the quarter quite bearish, and also the year started off with a very bearish tone for the US dollar, right? We also just saw NFP reports come out. If I pull to last week, we saw NFP reports come out quite positively, right? The forecast was 137K, and this was, around almost 100K jump in numbers. So this was a good metric for the U.S. economy, right? Previously, we were thinking that the U.S. economy might be going to a state of potential stagflation, or maybe, hopefully, not a recession, not a recession, but we might see a stagflation where we see growth starting to slow, right? We had this big few months where the dollar was just pumping higher off of just super strong and steady US data, and we saw this kind of like a U-turn right here where growth was slowing, but inflation was picking up. So this period right here was pretty much stagflation. So with this NFP data coming out quite positively for the dollar, however, unemployment rate is came out slightly beneath forecast, and also slightly beneath the previous report month on month. So that might be a mixed day, but all in all, NFP data came out really good for the dollar. So right now on the monthly, not much we can see except we're coming into this monthly level, and we're currently rejecting off of it. We are still technically stuck in this big range we've been around since 2022. I would be curious to see if we could see continued price being pushed lower, since fundamentally, as of now, the USD can be seen in a bearish tone, but we have to wait and see if we can take out these lows right here. They're pretty equal. We could see price pull back and then come down to take out these lows right here, coming down back into this range right here, and maybe see a pop back up. Who knows? Okay, that is what we see on the monthly. Now on the weekly right here, last week, huge move, right? This is pretty much just panic in the markets after tariffs, and then whenever you see these kind of news releases coming in strong and the market's reactionary, the move will likely be corrected really, really quickly, which is what we saw last week, right? Just big move down, now big move up, leaving a large wick rejecting off of these areas right here, which I did mention in the previous weeks. We could take out this weekly high back in March and then could see a dump lower, but likely I would like to see price respect these weekly lows right here, which we're seeing as of now. I would like to see this month's data come out before I have any change of stance in terms of the US data economy. US data based on the economy, but as of now, still pretty bearish, right? We've come into areas of interest, large volume, could see price pick it up, clear some of the imbalances around this area, and then maybe continue to push down. But let's check out the daily. So the daily right here, see, big gap lower, we open lower right here, gap down into monthly and weekly levels, and now we're pushing back up above them. Now I would like to see price transverse higher back into this gap right here, or maybe into this this low right here, which is pretty much the previous low before the last low pre-break. We could see price transverse high into there, and then see price continue dripping lower if that's what it wants to do. So definitely still expecting a open high low close week. If we can respect this level and this level, we could see this further down lower. But if we do just open and then just thread around this level, seeing as how this kind of thing is quite big, this kind of thing itself is like 2%. So this is quite a big level. If we just thread within it for next week, I do not want to have a bias until we either break above or break these levels right here. But definitely following the bearish tone of the markets, you should not be looking to catch a reversal unless you are very good at that and you're very adept at catching reversals, which I trust you to have some data on that. Okay, so area of interest next week definitely to be looking at is this area right there. Why is that green? That's weird. I never put that as green, but these two areas right here are what I'm looking at to seek out short ideas, right? But if we do come down, take out this low first and just keep threading downwards, then we don't have an ideal pullback for price to come down lower. Okay, looking at next week's data, we do have JPY news on Wednesday, where the governor for BOJ will speak. We also have FOMC minutes, as well as CPI and unemployment claims on April. So April is going to be a very, very volatile day for the USD, and also many different other currency pairs and also asset classes out there, because the USD is still the dominant currency globally, right? Friday we have GDP news coming up for the month-on-month GDP, and also for the USD we have PPI and core PPI month-on-month. So Monday, Tuesday might be a bit less lackluster in terms of price action. We might not be going anywhere in terms of the weekly range, but from Thursday or even Wednesday onwards, we could see a change in that. Okay, so that's what I'm looking at for the US dollar. Next, let's take a look at gold. Okay, so gold right here. In terms of the forecast, right? Definitely still bullish, right? I mean, look at how gold has been for the past year. Really, it's just been going up. Keep in mind, this is a monthly chart, so just look at how gold has been flying for eternity. Right now, it feels like at this point it just doesn't stop. We have like periods of just range, sure, but we've pretty much just held price action to go bullish all these while for a very long time now, and I think that's pretty much because gold thrives in periods of uncertainty. And for the past 4 years, ever since COVID, we have always been in, periods of just general uncertainty, even when things seem to calm down a bit, even when, the COVID was being lifted, we were still pretty much in territory of fear, right? We just had tons of escalations in terms of geopolitical tensions, and this just puts gold in like a crazy bullish move up. I mean, look at the weekly chart, right? It's just been crazy green. Well, in this case, white. My candlestick charts are in white and black, but it's just been green for years now at this point, and it's crazy, right? Nowadays, though, I think mainly it's been fueled by just the uncertainties around tariffs, right? We broke 3K not too long ago, and now we have breached actually 3.1K, which is just insane, right? And the mess surrounding the tensions for just how like the Russia Ukraine things, countries like Russia stacking gold reserves. We have big players like institutions and hedge funds, they're going all in and they're hedging against the dollar, and the drama with all of that and inflation. We are still going to be bullish for a while on gold. And me myself, I personally am a gold bull. I'm a perma gold bull. Even though I may not be trading gold at the moment, I am constantly just putting in money into a gold ETF, like the regulated gold ETFs, of course. So just constantly putting into like SPY gold, SPY gold, stuff like that. Just basically looking at it from a perspective of an investor is really different from that of a trader, right? Gold is one of the asset classes that I always tell people is not a bad thing to put your money into, right? But when you're trading it, short term, intraday, or even intra-week, intra-month even, that's a different story, right? Because you could be DCA into your gold positions in your investments, but as a trader, you might not want to be chasing every now and then, right? You don't want to be chasing big pumps up like this all the time, right? Because recency bias, which is basically the bias of how price action has occurred recently, it may burn you when you over leverage, right? Sure, I'm bullish, but potentially if you're looking for very long-term holdings in terms of your trades, I will wait for a better pullback. Sure, it could just fly off tomorrow, and I wouldn't care because I'm not in any gold longs. I don't look into any gold longs until we get some form of a pullback on the daily, weekly, or even the monthly. Okay, so looking at the monthly chart right here, we just took out previous month's high, and now we're failing to close above it, and we're coming down lower, mainly to probably close some of this price action right here. We just have been bullish. Some correction and exhaustion should be expected, right? The next target on the monthly obviously would be this high right here, right around 2956 based on the ONDA data feed. But it could also come down lower into this general region right here around the 2.7k mark, or even right here we have the 2.8k mark. We have this gap right here that price could come down and then see some reaction off of. But obviously, just based on how strong the fundamentals are for supporting gold, I'm not expecting a price to come down into this region right here. I'm expecting really to just see it bounce off some of these lows right here, with this gap, maybe some of these monthly lows might be its target for a pullback if we even do get that. Okay, so going down to the weekly, we had that monthly close right here. The previous month's high was taken, and now we're seeing this bearish weekly candle, which is very rare nowadays. You can see in the past, few weeks, we only had like 2 bearish weekly candle closes, right? Which seemed convincing at the time, but obviously was being bought up just off of the strong fundamentals backing gold. So right now here we have a bunch of weekly lows that we could come down to target and then see a push higher. So definitely keep those in check, right? This is the previous all-time highs. We stagnated here a bit, broken out of it. So this is definitely a key area of interest around the 2.956 mark. We could also see price come down lower into these areas of interest before pushing higher, right? Coming down to the daily, what do we see? We saw price once again break that monthly, stagnated for around 2 days, and then last Thursday we had the tariff news come out, wicked both sides, and then now we're dropping lower, right? In terms of technicals, it is probably just a form of a pullback, right? So we are coming really close to this weekly level and also this daily swing low. We are around 300 points, not 300 points away from it, pips away from it. And then I would like to see price reach lower than where it currently is. Okay, sure. A good point of reversal next week could be price opening around here, respecting the Thursday low right here at 3054. Price opens, comes back up, taps it, and then comes down to retest some of these areas right here before continuing higher, right? That's what I would like to see. Of course, it could be wrong. Price will just open, completely ignore this low as a potential area of resistance, close back above it. Now we have formed a swing low. We could then see if price can confirm itself to go into that bullish run. Okay, so if we don't respect this, we could definitely see this swing low being respected and then formed and then go higher from there. Okay, but definitely right now still bullish on gold. I don't see any reason for it to be bearish on gold unless it's for like a very short-term short trade. Okay, so that is it for gold. Let's take a look at the S&P 500. I'll be going on to the SPX on the ONR data feed. So right here, near term, just taking a look at the chart here on the monthly, the vibe is definitely bearish. Okay, but we might be seeing a potential bottom, of course, depending on how Trump will, maybe amend, maybe escalate it further, right? We saw China retaliate back with 34% tariff on all US imports and exports, so that's crazy. But these markets, they are tumbling hard. They are tumbling super, super hard. Taking a look at the VIX, which is a measure for volatility, it's coming close, like 40. It has reached 45, to be fair. It has reached 45. Yeah, it's coming close to 50. Look at the VIX right now. It's crazy. So we are in an extreme state of momentum, of volatility, and that is crazy. Everyone's pricing in the worst. Everyone's reacting horribly to it. Trade war 2.0, Trump war is crazy. JP Morgan themselves, they say that we could see the tariffs continue to tank the S&P, which is, a really, really scary thing, seeing how strong, the indices has been performing for a very, very long time. Especially in last year, it performed extraordinarily strong. Okay, but well, that seems kind of scary, right? If Trump does in fact soften up, if he does in fact decide to soften up, as traders or even investors, we have to think of delays or even exemptions as sell the rumor, buy the news bounce, right? Because all of this right here on this candlestick, let's go on the daily real quick. All of this right here, this entire price action is pretty reactionary, right? And we always say right here, if a move in the markets is based off of people reacting and panic selling and fear index is crazy high, it might bounce back, right? You have to always think not like a retail trader, but be, contrarian to what the retail trader thinks, because if you follow the herd, you're going to get slaughtered, right? That's why most people lose money. Okay, so obviously you have to line that up with your own fundamentals or technicals, but when you think like the general public, you may not be able to outperform the general public. Okay, so right now, as the monthly just started, just the week, the first week just passed, we are strong, bearish, coming into monthly lows right here, and then we're not showing any sense of slowing down. We might see, or at least I hope to see, some form of a pullback or reaction on the weekly and the daily, but as of now, the monthly is showing nothing for us. Okay, going down to the weekly right here, same thing as the monthly. Just crazy momentum coming down here, blasting through these levels, right? I am keen to see if next week we could get a bounce back, clearing some of this candle body, and then proceed to potentially dump further. Okay, as of now, there's nothing I can see on the weekly, but coming to the daily, I would like to see price kind of, pull back above this monthly level right here. Coming to the left, we have some previous lows right here that we could see price use as an area of resistance, and then push back lower. Or you could even not have any previous data levels marked out. You could just say, hey, you know what, I don't know where price is going to correct this entire almost 7% move. Let's wait until price comes back and then shows a big bearish candle on the daily, and then I can continue shorting the indexes, right? So that's also something you could do. As of now though, this definitely needs some correcting. I just don't know where it would tank to before correcting. It could just open and just gap lower and just hit this monthly and then reverse, sure, but we have dipped quite a big move already. Okay, and these these moves, I am still looking for them to be corrected, but we don't know when that will be. All right, last but not least, we have Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, in fact, did not move that much, and this is the monthly. We just took out the previous month's low. Keen to see if we could form a monthly swing low here with this candle, this current monthly candle, respecting it, and then we could see potential movements higher from there, taking out these monthly highs as targets. Okay, so going down to the weekly, we are pretty much caught within a range. Most people may not, that aren't invested in the crypto space, may not be caring too much about this kind of alternative investments. We are basically just seeing the market just range. We don't have any large movements up or down. A lot of the movements have been in traditional assets, like commodities, stocks, and indices, and even currencies. We are seeing large movement in those asset classes, but in the more modern financial fields, there isn't much movements in crypto. Okay, so we're caught within this swing high right here that we just formed, and also this weekly low right here, and this weekly swing low right here, which is also previous month's low. So until we get a break on either side, I don't think I can have a set target for it. If you do break beneath this level with momentum, you could be coming down into a previous month's low, and then continuing the move downwards into this good big juicy area of interest. Okay, but if we break higher, then we could be seeing some of these highs go right here. Okay, daily is pretty much the same thing as the weekly, just zoomed in. We are caught within a large range. We have nowhere to go until this high goes or this low goes. I cannot say we are going to be attacking the other side. If we break it with momentum, these highs right here are suspicious. If we break beneath this level with momentum, this swing low might be that target. If we do break beneath this with momentum again, then definitely previous month's low is something to be eyeing for your next short targets, right? We have some ways to there, so definitely this would be targeted, and then previous all-time highs would also be your next level of area of support. Okay, so Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies in general, they don't perform well in periods of uncertainty. I know for a fact my own holdings are not performing that well. I have some crypto holdings, Ripple, Bitcoin, Ethereum. Um, so just waiting to see if those can get a bounce back higher. But I just cover Bitcoin on this channel because it is pretty much it is digital gold in the crypto space, right? So yeah, that's pretty much it for this week. If you have any other questions or concerns, you can definitely leave them in the comment section below. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.